Welcome to Nerdcast, where we take the technology of the future to fill you in on the news you missed last week. I'm Jess.
And I'm looking for John Connor. This week, it's all about these little sci-fi gadgets.
Cell phones are our own little computers in our pockets, and I've got stories about everything from a teacher breaking into a student's phone to Apple apps on Android. Also, Mitch has our first ever review for a game on a phone, and it's not Candy Crush or Flappy Bird.
Then in Words with Pictures, DC canceled 6 series. Jeremy brings you the best of what's left. And finally, Lucas talks about the problems our magic future gadgets present us in a nerd rant.
Welcome to the present.
This is Nerdcast.
To the Batmobile. Let's go. Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed. Roger. Ready to move out.
Can you imagine what would have happened if a teacher had ever broken into your phone?
You mean like if I'd ever gone to high school?
Did you not?
No, I just spent my childhood Googling things. It's cheaper than education, and now I know all about the life cycles of algebra.
Aw, good for you. Hey guys, today is mobile news. That includes companies, tablets, phones, games, and general privacy discretion. Yep, that still applies to your phones. So let's get started. Apple and Motorola, read that as Google, have agreed to dismiss all patent infringement claims against each other. If you were hoping for a more epic battle, don't worry. Samsung and Apple are still going at it, although they are trying to declare a truce of their own. I'm kind of surprised the court systems haven't just kicked them out already.
Seriously, how many court battles can you have between just two companies?
Samsung is reporting that it has sold 11 million Galaxy S5s since launch, which is a million more than the S4 in its first month. Rumors also say that Samsung is looking into biometrics for phones, such as iris scanners.
Wasn't that the rumor for the S5, eye scanners instead of fingerprint scanners?
Well, apparently they haven't given up. Minnesota has ideas for phone protection as well. Legislatures have introduced a bill for adding a kill switch to all phones. While this trend sounds like a good idea, phones are like cars. Some of them are worth more as individual parts rather than the whole shebang. If you're legitimately phone shopping, aka not black market, and you can't decide between Android and iOS because of the apps, I have some news for you. Some postgraduate researchers at Columbia University have made this really awesome program called Cider. What it does is allow iOS apps to run on Android devices. As one would expect, the apps run relatively slow in comparison. Also, anything that involves GPS or camera performed rather poorly, which is why they are still working on the program. However awesome as this may sound, this is only a prototype and not really meant for public release.
Oh, someone has to make this happen. Lucas, get my ball-peen hammer. I have work to do.
AT&T is trying to win over consumers by purchasing DirecTV. The idea is that DirecTV can finally pair with internet and AT&T can improve video services. But as I'm not particularly fond of either company, this doesn't really bother me. I'll be avoiding their services as much as possible anyway. But if you insist on using AT&T, you might want to check out the Galaxy S4 Mini. This is supposed to be their first phone with voice over LTE. In other words, HD voice. It comes in black and pink. I overheard Mitch telling Jeremy earlier that he wants the pink version.
What? What?
Or, if you want a tablet, Walmart and T-Mobile are teaming up by offering 2 tablets with a whopping 200 megabytes of data per month for free. Oh my God, that's so much. Yeah. That's okay though, because it's free and you can buy more. For the tablet options, there's budget-friendly tablet, the Trio AXS 4G, and the HP Slate 7 HD for buying options, though anything is better than nothing. And Sprint, as they now have to pay the US a government fine of $7.5 million because they kept telemarketing to people on Do Not Call list.
I get excited when a movie's reviews are combinations of all 10s and all 1s with nothing in the middle. God's Not Dead is one such movie, with fans claiming that it's either the greatest thing ever and non-fans driving its Metacritic score below Amazing Spider-Man 2 levels.
Landing it in the same zone as Son of God and Heaven is for Real. Really not a good track record so far.
I agree, but just because a movie is religious doesn't mean it's bad. Noah was amazing, so I set out to see what this movie really deserves. God's Not Dead is the story of a college student challenged to prove the existence of God. It's also about a journalist getting cancer, a Muslim girl converting to Christianity, and a guy trying to get to Disney World but his car can't start because it's a metaphor. These other stories are little subplots that litter the movie and have only vague plot significance. They keep interrupting the main story, and honestly, they just annoyed me and made me feel a little tricked that I had to keep watching them when I came here for the other movie. It was like watching this film on Christian Hulu and these were the ads. The movie, as advertised, is about the student proving God. This was the part I came to see. Young, hopeful Josh is a Christian college freshman who joins an intro philosophy class run by the worst possible example of a professor. Said professor is an atheism fanatic who demands all students sign a piece of paper stating God is dead or else lose their part of the grade unless they prove that God exists. Josh, sticking up for his morals, refuses to sign his name to what he considers blasphemy and instead takes the harder path of proving his faith.
Where have I heard this before?
It's from a fictional chain email from 10 years ago. The signing a paper thing is a nice twist, but otherwise it's a setup to attack academia for turning Christians into atheists.
The main plot had so much potential. The story of the moral Christian confronting Satan in a clash of wills is an established literary genre, and no matter what anyone believes, people love to root for an underdog. The problem is that the movie doesn't have Satan, it just has jerks. Spiteful, hateful jerks, and it spends scene after scene hammering home the idea that everyone who doesn't believe in God is a miserable, hateful, spiteful jerk.
A lot like Mitch.
Really, the film just comes off as mean. Non-believers are treated as one-dimensional cutouts with exactly zero redeeming qualities, unless, of course, later in the movie they join the church. And some characters clearly only exist to be idiot scarecrows representing atheists, the liberal media, and godless foreigners that the movie gets to bash and attack for 2 hours. Ultimately, God's Not Dead is like watching a debate where the other guy is bound and gagged.
Or an empty chair.
If I'm just focusing on the main plot, then this movie is 20 minutes of recycled debate lines and 10 minutes of claiming that everyone who doesn't believe in God is just angry at God. The rest of the movie is a distracting number of ads, an uncomfortable platform for a guy from Duck Dynasty, and what I suspect is a dash of racism in the form of the magical black man trope. With some better writing and a focus on just a single story, please, this movie could have been a Christian take on the underdog's story. Instead, it's just one long commercial for Jesus sprinkled with other commercials. Believers will love this movie, and non-believers will hate it because it reinforces all of the notions that both sides hold for each other. It's just as divisive as the 10s and 1s it's earning on Metacritic. For the standard moviegoer, not interested in theological debate, it's not going to be watchable. And so it earns Fluffernutter's seal of disapproval.
Microsoft has unveiled the new Surface Pro 3, and it's looking pretty shiny, as it comes with a full-size USB 3.0 port, micro SD card reader, front and rear-facing cameras, and some nice stereo speakers. It doesn't have quite the same I'm super light feeling as the iPad Air, but definitely an improvement from the first two. It has a kickstand and built-in pen. This tablet is trying to replace both your laptop and tablet, just like the other two.
Microsoft, you were doing so well. What happened? If this doesn't work, just give up already.
Apple is rumored to be showing off a smartwatch at this year's Worldwide Developers Conference in San Francisco on June 2nd. Well, it's either that or Apple TV. But E3 is right after, so I'm doubtful any buzz, positive or negative, will last long. To end the news this week, we're going to talk about privacy. A high school student in Birmingham had her phone taken during school. what the teacher found on the phone caused the student to be suspended. Now, I know what you're going to say. Why didn't she lock her phone? She didn't have people send those types of pictures, and so on and so on and so on. Well, her phone was locked, and it wasn't due to those types of pictures either. The teacher took the student's phone to an outside shop to hack into it. There's a little more to the story that I really can't talk about on air, but I strongly encourage you to go look into it. However, what about the teacher? Are they going to receive any punishment? They're invading the student's privacy worse than the government is. And at least they're being blatant about it, but seriously guys, your phone is your life. Protect it, don't let teachers take it.
I told myself I'd never take a game on a phone seriously, but I've also played full-priced games on full-priced consoles that weren't even close to being this much fun. Space Team is a game about following orders, but if you follow those orders, you get to fly a spaceship through freaking space. Each player is given a computer console with a set of dials, switches, and buttons. Orders flash on screen that may apply to your console or another player's. The important thing is that you scream out that order loud enough that your friends can hear it in case they have the special space part that needs to be spaced at that particular space time.
Shouting has the added effect of chasing out anyone in the room who didn't want to play.
There's no room for dead weight in space. If you're not on the space team, you don't deserve to be on the ship.
Oh man, you're really into this, aren't you?
The unintelligible shouting game is actually close to Simon Says, if you need to picture an example. Except the commands are totally at random and can come from any of 3 other players. It's a chaotic test of reflexes, and the challenges escalate at an alarming rate. Each level introduces a new space issue with the spaceship that can interfere with each player's console, such as Space Slime covering the names of switches or words being changed into pictures.
To the maximum.
Set Terra Slicer to 2.
Terra Slicer.
Periodic shackle to 0.
Fusion Meta Printer to 2.
Increase hyper module to 2.
Keeping everything in mind becomes the real challenge. Even when you have no orders to shout, the ship itself is usually falling apart, and players have to address the damage to their own consoles, which means there is never downtime for a second. Space Team pushes a player's mental reflexes in an astonishing way, and it can become so difficult so quickly that I wouldn't be surprised to see professional space teams on YouTube, or someone genuinely impressing people with their ability to team up and space.
Oh, never mind. That's
Terra Slicer to maximum. Wormhole flip, 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 flip. Network 10 to 5.
Activate Lambda Cage.
Set the Zeta disk to... I think I have that.
Activate Lambda
Stay
Cage.
flipped.
Increase the S engine to 1.
I got a safe.
Activate
go.
Lambda Cage.
The real prize comes from everyone working together and shouting space gibberish. Space Team has a childish sense of style that adds to the fun and brings the whole space experience together. It's just fun to shout to someone to pay their taxes or ignore the thing behind us or activate something that is either a picture of Nevada or literally Nevada.
Turn on flow vessel. Set Ultra Access to 1.
Set the star arm to
Enable
3.
Terrasonic.
You can download it and start shout alienating yourself from all but 3 other people right now. Remember not to mourn those who leave. They couldn't handle being on the Space Team.
Space Team!
Space Team earns Fluffernutter's seal of approval.
You know, Lucas, DC's really bumming me out. They canceled 6 more series in August. I mean, 4 of them, they're kind of trimming the fat, but 2 of them were really good. And all Mitch and Jess are talking about is cell phones, and I don't know what Words with Pictures has to do with cell phones.
Well, look, it's going to be okay. Now, you do realize that a lot of the new covers coming out, all the variant covers at least, are going to be selfies taken with smartphones, right?
Oh, yeah, I guess that's okay.
Okay, see, close enough. Feel free to cast aside all summer travel plans as we call all aboard for this up-and-coming series. Rail Wars started out back in January of 2012 as a light novel series which chronicled the adventures of Naoto Takayama. Now, it was supposed to chronicle his life as a trainee as a railway employee in an alternative version of Japan's history where the railroads were not privatized. This sets him up with several rough and tumble characters who derail an otherwise smooth ride, making it a pretty epic action series. So far, there are currently 8 volumes in the ongoing light novel series.
This is Words with Pictures. Where's the pictures?
Well, this is the part where I'm excited to announce that the series will be getting its first anime run sometime this July. Be on the lookout for it, and remember to always look both ways before crossing the tracks.
Forever Evil number 7. Get ready, because we get all the answers about Dick Grayson. And by all of them, I mean none of them, because this is Lex Luthor's story, and his ego doesn't leave room for any other so-called superheroes. So if you're a Luthor fan, rejoice! The finale of Forever Evil is basically one big love letter to one of DC's greatest villains. Lex Luthor gets to shine on every level here. His intellect, his tech, his strategic mind, his combat skills,
His ability to blind people with the glare from his incredible baldness.
and of course his leadership, with each member of his group of villains turned world savers having their moment of glory. But it's still mainly Luthor who gets his day. He wins the day, and it's awesome! Not to mention all the intriguing, lasting repercussions set into motion by his glory. But this leads to the problems with Forever Evil that only the finale makes evident. Too much of this event was dedicated towards setting the stage for further stories down the line. It diminishes the significance of Forever Evil in and of itself, especially with some major loose ends left for some unknown future stories. Some of it's fine because there wasn't much room anyways, but this just potentially means that the event could have been planned better. 8.5 out of 10.
If you've been watching us for a little while or have just been keeping an eye out for the latest and greatest out of Japan, you'll have heard that the Sailor Moon franchise is getting a reboot. Since then, we've also gotten some updates about the finer details involved. For our subs over dubs purists, the series reboot Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon Crystal will have Kotono Mitsuishi. Now, she'll be reprising her title role as well as quite a number of her fellow original cast members. It has also been confirmed that the series will consist of about 26 episodes, which will stream worldwide about twice a month. This is going to be murder on all of you binge watchers out there. So brace and pace yourselves. Now, here's the details on the premiere itself. Women's fashion magazine, Vivi, will be celebrating the protagonist Usagi's birthday on June 30th, with several of the mag's models and special guests as they host the party and world premiere of the series at the Zepp Diver City facility in Tokyo, Japan.
We're going, right? You think Stephanie Brown will be there?
Maybe. It's a rather exclusive event considering the fact that no males will be allowed in. At least not without being accompanied by a female attendee. So this means that for June 30th at 7 p.m., Jess is going to be my new bestie. Sorry, Jeremy.
Nova number 17. After a generic first arc, Nova's been a consistently great series, skillfully balancing wild space adventures with a more human side. This issue is one of the best, and Nova doesn't even punch a single alien or criminal in their face or any body parts. Last issue ended with quite a shock, and again, it was in the human drama side of the story. Nova returned home from his space adventure with Beta Ray Bill, aka Zombie Horse Thor,
Just before curfew,
to find an eviction notice. And he spends a lot of this issue trying to catch up on his life and figuring out how to help his mom make the overdue rent before they're kicked out. And everything he does here is still driven by the use of his Nova helmet. Many superhero comics are too busy punching all the bad guys in the face to deal with the little human dramas like this, and it's always nice to see this kind of stuff integrated so well amid the powers and laser beams and such. 9 out of 10.
On a more serious note, Studio Ghibli fans hoping to get their copies of the collected works of Hayao Miyazaki will have to wait a little bit longer, as Walt Disney Studios have put it on hold. The reason is due to Asuka of musical duo Chaje and Asuka, who was, arrested for drug possession. As a result, the music video, On Your Mark, will be pulled from the box set, as well as all other hard copies and digital copies of other collections of Studio Ghibli's various shorts.
So he gets in trouble, and we pay the price. Where's the justice?
The decision was made by the company not as a corporation, but as a member of society. The music duo's contract has since ended, despite their personal contracts still being active.
East of West number 12. The art for this cover doesn't seem as good as usual, but early on in the issue you realize the meaning of the image and it becomes pretty powerful. This is still another issue going by without getting back to that big moment from number 10 with Death, but this was one of the best issues yet. As is Hickman's style for his independent series, this issue goes into one side scene and digs deep into it. Death's bride, Xiao Lian, has called a meeting of the nations to try and expose the apocalypse-bringing Illuminati-style cult into the open and declare war upon them.
And here I thought they were just meeting for tea.
What follows in this single meeting is a first look at some of the future nations we haven't seen yet, and all sorts of unexpected twists and turns, an issue chock full of exploding tensions. East of West is yet another one of those image series that is unique, awesome, and should be read by everyone. 9.5 out of 10.
For those of you who are familiar with the greatest threat to bare feet, which also serves as a sophisticated inter-brick locking system, commercially known as Legos, then you might remember the days of trying your best to recreate your favorite movies, TV shows, comics out of these plastic wonders, only to have them fail in comparison to the actual sets produced by the company itself.
Take that, childhood! Oh, wait a minute. Oh.
Well, today we celebrate a master builder of sorts, Dan McCormick, who dusted off his old Lego sets to build incredible recreations of several original Pokemon. By posting them on an image hosting site, his creations have skyrocketed in popularity and has since started a Lego Ideas campaign based on one of his sculptures. If the campaign reaches 10,000 votes, then this wonderful marriage of Pokemon and Legos will be sent into the Lego group for the possibility of development and sale. Good luck, Dan.
Finally, we have Justice League number 30. In the fallout of Forever Evil, Lex Luthor is the world's hero, and Captain Cold's not looking too shabby either. Meanwhile, due to the Forever Evil causing events of Trinity War, the Justice League is looking at an all-time low in public perception. Thus, Lex Luthor's going to join the Justice League. It's a win-win situation for everyone. I mean, Luthor certainly thinks so.
Well, he is an egomaniac after all.
Jeff Johns has taken a shaky Justice League run and possibly turned it completely around with this new direction. Everything had been building up to this, and now that it's here, it's looking like it was worth trudging through the mediocrity to reach this point. Luthor's always believed himself the hero, and now he's got a chance to prove it. Not that the Justice League is totally willing to give him this chance. But we know Luthor gets his way, and we get a look at his trump card that gets him there. Justice League is finally getting great, and now's the perfect time to jump into it. 9 out of 10.
Wow.
What's up?
Well, you were right. I've already Googled everything I've ever learned in high school, and, well, now I'm learning to construct black holes in my basement.
But that could kill us all.
I know. That's the point. Good. Keeping in touch when it really matters, like when you need to call 911, or text in some cases, because you're being stalked by crazy people.
Bad. The overlap of technology. You have phones that do what computers do, tablets that do what phones and computers do. It's, once again, the Department of Redundancy department all over again.
Random. Cell phones have been around for almost 80 years, though it depends on what you call a cell phone. The first mobile phone was the SCR 194 and 195, which were developed in 1938 and were the first portable walkie-talkies. This is the great-great-granddaddy to all modern mobiles.
Good. The innovations, such as texting, which help people with disabilities, in this case the deaf, communicate.
Bad. Newer phones, even with all the fancy cases, will never be as durable as the good old Nokia. Meaning, the first time you drop that brand new smartphone, you're probably going to have to get another one. Hope you paid for insurance.
Random. The radiation from your phone has not been linked to cancer yet, but it can cause insomnia, headaches, and confusion. Or maybe that's just part of being a college student.
Good. You can ask Siri to solve all your problems for you, including your math problems.
Bad. Smartphones, dumb people.
Random. If you're paying more attention to updating your Facebook status than running away from the zombies catch you.
All of us here in the future, which is where we are, would like to thank you for taking time out of your day to hang out with us and get some nerd news. But sometimes we worry about what our future actually looks like, which is where we are, our future. Technology breeds its own problems, from cloning to robots, but that's our problem here in the future. So while I go fight all of these robot clones, here's Lucas to complain about the problems with your technology back in the past, which is not the future, which is where I'm speaking from.
It's unavoidable. You turn right, Twitter. You turn left, Facebook. Right in front of you, MySpace. Okay, maybe not MySpace, but something. No matter what you do, social media follows you like a creepy stalker's zombie looking for a brain. Your brain. It has become so ingrained in our lives that no one can remember a time without it. And those of us who can are dinosaurs, which means I am a dinosaur because I am older than the internet. For those of you who don't know, the World Wide Web as we know it came about in 1993. Dinosaurs around my age didn't really care because most of us averaged about 5. We're too busy playing outside. Fun fact, many people would consider the outside world the first social network because, you had to go outside to be social. Anyways, somewhere between 1996 and 1999, depending on your Google search, IMing was born, and thus social media. Now, many people don't think of IM as a social media because, they've got Facebook, but back when all you had was a dial-up connection, IMing was the thing. You got to talk to your friends over the phone without actually having to speak to them. It was awesome! Then came MySpace, which was Facebook's grandpapa. And that was about 2003. It was a huge hit and was quickly followed up by Facebook. Then the two had a massive deathmatch for years, until eventually Facebook came out on top. Then, what was once an invite-only social media was overrun by 13-year-olds jumping ship. Nowadays we have Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, and a whole bunch of other stuff that we don't need. There's a social media for everything. You're interested in pet blogging, there's Tumblr. You're interested in bad homemade music videos, YouTube's got your number and will call regularly. You want to watch a bad nerd commentary show from Laurel. Anyways, social media is overtaking us. It's like an epidemic. And it's now so overwhelming that it has become pointless. It was originally supposed to help us stay in contact with people, except now we're staying in contact so much that we're starting to avoid people in person. It's gotten so bad that people actually have to post signs that say, in the case of an emergency, please exit the building before updating your status. No, seriously, they're a real thing. It's been said many times recently that the zombie apocalypse is already here. It's just taken the form of kids glued to their phones. Look, nerds, do yourselves a favor. Put down your phone. Turn off your computer. Step outside. Take a look around you. Say hi to your neighbor. Look, I know it's hard. Those first few moments outside the cave is blinding and rough, but it's worth it. Because, if there really is a zombie apocalypse, you won't survive it glued to your phone.
And that's our show, guys. Compared to when you started watching, you're now in the future. Look around and probably everything is entirely different. I bet your loved ones don't even recognize you anymore.
But if you start craving the past, feel free to follow us on Twitter at NerdcastLaurel and like our Facebook page.
And we'll see you next week. Bye, guys.
Pretty Guardian, Sailor Moon, Crystal, Emerald, Ruby, XYZ, Squared, Esquire.
I am being good. I'm not talking.
You'll have already heard about the Sailor Moon franchise and its reboot. Yes, it's getting a reboot.
Tessa, can you do me a favor and just hit Mitch as hard as you can? Just go whack!
Wonder Host powers activate.
Form of co-host.
Shape of, oh, I gotta be water, don't I?
Yep.
Bad. Clearing my throat.
That's true. I'm glad we're doing truth here. This is it's a truth-based program.
You will have heard of Sailor Moon.
Jess's banter for Mitch. Take 500,000. Sorry. Sorry.
Da-ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Now you know.
Space Team is a game about following orders. But if you follow those orders, you get to fly and you get to...
Mitch, I will end you. And now I'm learning how to construct black phones.
Oh my god, I'm having Bill Nye flashbacks now.
And if it can be...
Contracts activate.
The innovations, such as texting.
Jesse, you have the first line.
We have time. Oh, I do have the time.
We're not Mitch. That's for you, Mitch.